What if I told you that the most powerful thing you will ever do in your entire life is absolutely nothing? What if the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against another person, not against the world, not against your enemies, but against your own urge to react? What if every broken relationship, every regret, every sleepless night, every word you wish you could take back happened not because life was cruel to you, but because you opened your mouth 1 second too early? What if the difference between the person you are right now and the person you have always dreamed of becoming is not more money, not more knowledge, not more luck, but simply the ability to pause, breathe, and decide instead of exploding? What if silence is not weakness? What if stillness is not laziness? What if the person who says nothing in a room full of noise is the most dangerous, the most intelligent, the most free human being in that entire room? What if I told you that today, right now, in the next few minutes, I am going to hand you a weapon that no school ever taught you, no parent ever explained to you, and no university ever put in a textbook? A weapon that will change your relationships, your career, your peace of mind, and your entire future. And that weapon is simply this: learn to listen, stop reacting, and start deciding. Stay with me. Every single word from this point forward could be the one that changes everything for you. The space between listening and reacting is where your entire life is shaped. Most people are slaves to their emotions because they never learned to pause. Deciding is not the same as reacting. One is power, the other is weakness. Silence is not emptiness. It is the birthplace of wisdom and clarity. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. You choose every second. Mastery over yourself is the only mastery that truly matters in this world. What if the most destructive force on this planet is not hatred, not violence, not war, but a human being who never learned the difference between reacting and deciding? Think about that. Think about every argument you have ever had that went too far. Think about every message you sent in anger that you wished you could delete. Think about every door you slammed, every bridge you burned, every person you pushed away, not because they deserved it, but because something inside you erupted before your mind had a chance to catch up. That eruption is reaction. And reaction has cost you more than you will ever be able to calculate. Now let me tell you something that will disturb you. You are not reacting to what is happening to you. You are reacting to what you believe is happening to you. And those are two completely, dangerously, heartbreakingly different things. Someone says one sentence to you, and within a fraction of a second, your mind has already written an entire story about what they meant, why they said it, what they think of you, and how you should defend yourself. And you react to that story. Not to reality, to the story your mind created in the darkness of a single unexamined moment. You are fighting ghosts. You are destroying real relationships over imaginary threats. And you do not even realize it because it happens so fast that you mistake your reaction for truth. Let me take you deeper. There is a space, a tiny, invisible, almost imperceptible space that exists between the moment something happens to you and the moment you respond. That space is no longer than a heartbeat. It is no wider than a single breath. But inside that space lives the entirety of your freedom. Inside that space, you are not a victim. Inside that space, you are not controlled by anyone or anything. Inside that space, you are the commander of your own life. But here is the tragedy. Most people have never even visited that space. They have lived their entire lives jumping straight from stimulus to reaction like a machine, like a puppet on strings that someone else is pulling, and they call that living. It is not living. It is sleepwalking through your own existence while your emotions drive the car and your wisdom sits locked in the trunk. Now you need to understand something about listening. Real listening. Not the kind where your ears are open but your mind is already preparing your counterattack. Not the kind where you nod your head while inside you are building walls and loading weapons. I am talking about the kind of listening where you become so completely still, so entirely present that the other person's words actually land inside you before your ego has a chance to intercept them. That kind of listening is terrifying. Do you know why it is terrifying? Because it requires you to be vulnerable. It requires you to accept the possibility that you might be wrong. It requires you to sit in discomfort without running away, without fighting back, without numbing yourself. And most human beings would rather go to war than sit in that kind of discomfort for even 30 seconds. Let me tell you what happens in the body when you react. Your nervous system activates what ancient warriors used to survive attacks from predators. Your heart rate spikes, blood rushes away from your brain and into your muscles. Your vision narrows, your hearing becomes selective. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your system. And in that state, you are physically, chemically, biologically incapable of thinking clearly. You are in survival mode. Your body does not know the difference between a lion chasing you and your partner criticizing you. It responds the same way. And in that state, you say things that a calm version of you would never say. You make decisions that a clear version of you would never make. You become someone that the best version of you would not even recognize. And then when the chemicals fade, when the storm passes, when the fog lifts, you look around at the damage and you wonder how it happened. It happened because you reacted. It happened because you skipped that space. It happened because you let your biology override your humanity. Now here is where everything changes. Deciding, not reacting, deciding. The word decide comes from a root that literally means to cut off. When you decide, you are cutting off all the other possibilities. You are cutting off the noise, the panic, the fear, the ego, and you are choosing one clear path forward with full awareness, full intention, full ownership. A reaction is something that happens to you. A decision is something that happens through you. A reaction makes you smaller. A decision makes you powerful. A reaction is a fire that burns without purpose. A decision is a flame that lights the way. And every single day you are choosing, whether you know it or not, which one you will be. The reactor or the decider, the puppet or the master, the storm or the stillness at the center of it. Let me tell you about the minds that changed history. They were not the loudest, they were not the fastest to respond. They were not the ones who shouted over everyone else. They were the ones who could sit in chaos and remain unmoved. They were the ones who could hear insults and not crumble. They were the ones who could face uncertainty and not panic. They trained themselves day after day, breath after breath, to widen that space between what happened and how they responded. And in that widened space, they found something that most people never find. They found choice, real choice, not the illusion of choice that comes from following your impulses, but the deep, grounded, unshakable choice that comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to let any external force dictate your internal state. Now, I need you to understand something uncomfortable. You have been trained to react. From the moment you were born, the world has been conditioning you to be reactive. Social media is designed to trigger your reactions. News is crafted to provoke your emotions. Advertising is built to exploit your impulses. Arguments are structured to pull you in before you can think. The entire architecture of modern life is engineered to keep you in a state of constant reaction so that you never access that space, so that you never discover that you have a choice, so that you remain controllable, predictable, and profitable. Every time you react without thinking, you are not being authentic. You are being programmed. You are executing someone else's code. And the most radical, rebellious, revolutionary thing you can do in this world is simply to pause. Let me give you a practice. It is deceptively simple and devastatingly powerful. The next time someone says something that makes your blood boil, do not speak. Breathe. One breath. That is all. In that one breath, ask yourself one question. What do I want to create right now? Not what do I want to destroy? Not how do I want to punish? Not how do I defend my ego? What do I want to create? That single question will rewire the entire trajectory of your response, because a creator thinks differently than a destroyer. A creator sees possibilities where a reactor sees only threats. A creator builds bridges where a reactor burns them. And you were born to create. You were not born to spend your life cleaning up the wreckage of your own reactions. Now let me go even further. The greatest lie you have ever been told is that your emotions are who you are. They are not. Your emotions are weather. They come and they go. They rise and they fall. They storm and they clear. But you are not the weather. You are the sky. The sky does not panic when clouds appear. The sky does not shatter when lightning strikes. The sky holds everything without becoming anything. And when you learn to observe your emotions without becoming your emotions, you unlock a level of existence that most people do not even know is available to them. You become the witness. You become the one who watches the anger arise and says, I see you, but I am not you. You become the one who feels the fear and says, I acknowledge you, but you do not control me. That is mastery. That is freedom. That is what it means to be fully, completely, unapologetically alive. And here is what nobody tells you about this path. It is not about becoming cold. It is not about becoming emotionless. It is not about suppressing what you feel. It is the exact opposite. It is about feeling everything more deeply than you ever have before, but from a place of such grounded awareness that you can hold the feeling without the feeling holding you hostage. The person who pauses before responding does not feel less. They feel more. They feel so much that they refuse to dishonor what they feel by throwing it into a thoughtless reaction. They honor their emotions by giving them the space to be understood before they are expressed. And that is not weakness. That is the highest form of strength a human being can ever achieve. So I want you to carry this with you when you leave here. Every moment of your life from this point forward is a choice point. Every conversation, every conflict, every challenge, every provocation is an invitation to react and remain exactly who you have always been, or an invitation to pause, to listen, to decide, and to become who you were always meant to be. The space is there, it has always been there. It is waiting for you. The only question is whether you will have the courage to step into it. Everything you have heard today comes down to one truth that is so simple it is almost painful. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can absolutely control what happens within you. The world will never stop throwing noise at you. People will never stop testing you. Life will never stop challenging you. But none of that determines who you become. What determines who you become is that one sacred moment between the event and your response. Learn to live in that moment. Learn to breathe in that moment. Learn to choose in that moment. And you will become someone that nothing and no one can break. Listen deeply. Do not react blindly. Decide wisely. This is not just advice. This is the blueprint for a life of power, peace, and purpose. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, not just with your ears, but with your heart. The fact that you stayed until this moment tells me something about you. You are not looking for shortcuts, you are looking for transformation, and that takes courage. So as you walk forward from here, I wish you the strength to pause when everything inside you screams to react. I wish you the clarity to listen when the world is full of noise. I wish you the wisdom to decide when chaos demands a reaction. You have everything you need already inside you. Trust it, use it, become it. Good luck. Not because you need luck, but because you deserve every beautiful thing that is waiting for you on the other side of your next decision.